Now today we are going to start with chapter number 2, reproduction in animals. हम reproduction पढ़ेंगे in animals, how the animals reproduce. Let's start with the chapters. First I will introduce about the chapter. All living organisms produce young ones of their own kind. For life to be continued, living things must produce more of their own kind. The process by which living beings produce more of their own kind is called reproduction. The process of reproduction is not similar in all living beings. Animals reproduce in two different ways. Some give birth to young ones, whereas some lays egg. ठीक है, कुछ बर्थ देते हैं. देखो, कोई भी एनिमल हो, सब क्या करते हैं, रिप्रोड्यूस करते हैं. कुछ बर्थ देते हैं और कुछ fertilize with the help of some lays egg. Later, young ones hatch from the egg. Human, cat, cows give birth to their young ones. Frogs and snakes lay egg out of which baby hatch. In this chapter, we will study about the different modes of reproduction. देखो, human beings हो गए, dog हो गए, cow हो गए, क्या करते हैं, young one को produce करते हैं, reproduce करते हैं. लेकिन hen हो गई, ठीक है, आपकी snakes हो गए, frog हो गई, ये egg lay करते हैं, ठीक है, उसमें से फिर अपने बेबी को hatch करते हैं. ठीक है, ये new terms है, आपको अपने आप read करने. For survival of life on the earth, each living being has to leave behind one of its own kind. Otherwise, kind or race would die. The process by which living things produce young ones of their own kind is called reproduction. ठीक है, जो process इससे living things क्या produce करते हैं, young one of their own kind, उस process को कहते हैं reproduction. Every living beings have the ability to reproduce. These processes are essential for the survival of every living organism. If one of them are to stop working, the organism would die. ठीक है, कोई कुछ भी अगर एक work करना stop कर दे, the other one will be dead. You have already learned in the previous class about reproduction in plants. In this chapter, we will learn about reproduction that takes place in animals. In this chapter, we will study about the reproduction that takes place in animals. About reproduction, reproduction means to reproduce, to produce more of same kind. The purpose to species, the phenomena of producing new individual of existing ones to increase the community is called reproduction. Without reproduction, a species would ultimately die out. Reproduction नहीं होगा तो species होता है वो क्या होगा, ultimately die out, खत्म हो जाए. Reproduction is the biological process by which existing organisms create new individual organisms. Every existing plants or other living organism is the result of reproduction. Reproduction is one of the important characteristic of the life. Reproduction क्या है? Most important characteristics of है हमारी life की. Methods of reproduction. Do all living things reproduce in same manner? No, but all living things reproduce in one or other. So there are several methods of reproduction in nature. देखो अलग अलग मेथड है रिप्रोडक्शन के, सब एक ही काइंड से रिप्रोड्यूस नहीं करते. ठीक है, कुछ यंग वन को देते हैं, कुछ एग ले करते हैं, लेकिन सब क्या करते हैं, रिप्रोड्यूस करते हैं. Some animals give birth to their young one. Some animals produce egg. The egg later hatch to produce young. In Hydra, offspring grows out of parent body and amoeba splits into two. Amoeba में जो होती है रिप्रोडक्शन, उसमें कैसे होती है कि जो अमीबा होता है वो दो में स्प्लिट हो जाता है. Now, modes of reproduction. Human beings give birth to their young ones, but the time these young ones grows and mature, their parents become old and finally die. This cycle goes on. In the same manner, animals also reproduce and give birth to their young ones, ensuring their species continue to exist on the earth. ये लाइफ साइकिल है कि जो पेरेंट होता है वो अपने यंग वन को बर्थ देते हैं, फिर वो साइकिल होती है, वो भी फिर एडल्ट हो जाते हैं, ओल्ड हो जाते हैं, देन दे डाई. ऐसे एनिमल्स भी होता है, ठीक है, वो क्या करते हैं, वो भी रिप्रोड्यूस करते हैं, यंग वन को देते हैं, जिससे उनकी जो स्पीशीज की जो एग्जिस्टेंस है वो खत्म ना हो. You must have seen the young ones of the various animals being born. Can you tell how chicks and caterpillars are born? How are kitten and puppies born? Do you think that these young ones look the same before they were born as they do now? नहीं, सेम तो लगते नहीं है. ह्यूमन बेबी को देता है, कैट किटन को, डॉग पपी को, बटरफ्लाई कैटरपिलर, हैंड चिक, काउ काफ और फ्रॉग पेट. ये क्या है, कुछ एनिमल्स हैं और उनके यंग वंस हैं. Just as in the plant, there are two methods by which animals reproduce: sexual and asexual reproduction. ठीक है, एक sexual reproduction होती है और एक asexual reproduction होती है. First, we will study about the sexual reproduction. Most animals and plants reproduce by sexual reproduction. For sexual reproduction to occur, two parents, one male and another female, are required. Each parent organism that are involved in this type of reproduction produce a special type of cell called gamete. ये क्या हर parent organism क्या करता है? Special type of cell जिसे हम कहते हैं gametes produce करता है. The gametes derived from both parents fuse. The process of fusion of two type of gametes terms as fertilization. जो दो parent fuse gametes होते हैं वो fuse करते हैं, उस process को हम क्या कहते हैं? Fertilization. A single cell is formed as a result of fertilization. The cell is known as zygote. The zygote has features of both the parent. It is a zygote which develops into a new individual. ठीक है, तो zygote होता है उसमें दोनों features होते हैं, दोनों parents के features होते हैं और किसमें develop करता है फिर zygote into a new individual. This type of reproduction beginning from fusion of male and female is called sexual reproduction. जो fusion होता है male और female gametes का उसे हम क्या कहते हैं? Sexual reproduction कहते हैं. Sexual reproduction in animals, males and females have different reproductive parts or organ. Like plants, the reproductive part in animals also produce gametes that fuses to form a zygote. The male part produces sperm and the female parent produces egg or ovum. When the sperm and ovum fuse together, they form a third cell known as zygote. The process of fusion of sperm and ovum is called fertilization. The zygote is first cell of the new organism. It changes from the period of time to form a new organism. इसमें क्या होता है जब sperm और ovum दोनों क्या करते हैं? फ्यूज करते हैं, दोनों gametes फ्यूज करते हैं तो प्रोसेस हो जाता है fertilization. In animals such as fish, birds, reptiles, frog and humans, an individual carry only one kind of gamete, either sperm or a ovum. However, in some organisms, both male and female gametes are present in the same individual. Such organisms are called hermaphrodite. ठीक है, जिसमें दोनों ही प्रेजेंट होते हैं, उन ऑर्गेनिज्म को क्या कहते हैं हम? hermaphrodite. Earthworm and leeches are hermaphrodites. This means that each earthworm or leeches have both male and इनके अंदर दोनों होते हैं gametes, male भी और female. Viviparous and oviparous. We have learned that some animals give birth to young ones, some lays egg, which later develop into young ones. The animals which give birth to young ones are called viviparous. For example, cat, dog, man, elephant, monkey. ठीक है, जैसे जो एनिमल्स अपने यंग वन को बर्थ देते हैं उन्हें हम कहते हैं विविपोरस. जैसे आपकी कैट हो गई, डॉग हो गया, मंकी हो गया, काऊ हो गया, बफेलो हो गया. These all animals are viviparous animals. Those animals which lay egg are called oviparous. Insect, frogs, snakes, turtle, birds lay eggs. ठीक है, तो ये कौन सा एनिमल्स है? ये oviparous है. The following activity will help you to understand better and differentiate between various viviparous and oviparous animals. Reproduction in oviparous animals. All egg-laying animals are called oviparous. Insect, frog, snake, turtle, birds, worms, fish are oviparous. जैसे मैंने आपको बताया था जो एनिमल्स एग ले करते हैं उन्हें हम ओविपोरस कहते हैं. हैन हो गया, आपकी टर्टल हो गया, फ्रॉग हो गया, फिश हो गई, ये क्या है आपके? ओविपोरस. वी हैव ऑलरेडी लर्न अबाउट द लाइफ साइकिल ऑफ इन सम ऑफ द एनिमल्स. वी हैव रेक्टिपुलेट द लाइफ साइकिल ऑफ द बटरफ्लाई. ठीक है, हमने जैसे some other insect like the housefly and the silkworm, butterfly have 4 stages in their life cycle. In butterfly, male and female are separate. The female lays eggs. Before laying, the eggs are fertilized with the body of the mother with the sperm from father, and the eggs are laid actually zygote. ठीक है. Fertilization in insect is internal. The fertilization of egg gives rise to larvae, caterpillar, pupa, and the adult. देखो egg होता है, then it changes into larva, then pupa, and then it's become adult. Reproduction and life cycle in the butterfly and mosquito is the same. Study the stages in the life cycle of mosquito in the picture. ठीक है, जिससे ये आपको मॉस्किटो को दिया है. ठीक है, पहले लार्वी होता है, एग होता है, then it's larvae, then pupa, then adult, and then it's turned into adult. In mosquito, when the eggs hatch, the worm-like larvae comes out of the egg. It about 2 weeks. It changes into an encased form called pupa, which has shape comma. The pupa changes into mosquito inside the case and is about to wake the mosquito wriggles out of the case. एक ही वीक में after 1 week क्या होता है? बाहर निकल आता है. Reproduction in toads and frog. Toads and frog are commonly found near the pond during early rain. In early season, for the beginning of winter, male frog climbs on the back of the big and fair female. The female is fed with her bells full of eggs. Both males and female frogs swim around in the pond for some time. When they have come near the shore where the female starts laying egg as a big mass of egg, emerge from the body of the female and the male sheets sperm. क्या होता है कि वो दोनों पॉन्ड में जाते हैं, फिर एक साइड में क्या होता है वो एग ले जाती है, देन फिर उसको क्या करते हैं वॉर्म करती है. ठीक है. वन स्पर्म फ्यूजेस विद वन एग. फ्यूजन ऑफ स्पर्म विद एग इज कॉल्ड फर्टिलाइजेशन. जो फ्यूजन होता है एग का फ्रॉम वन स्पर्म, इसको हम क्या कहते हैं फर्टिलाइजेशन. Product of fertilization is called zygote and the fertilization frog take place in water. जो fertilization होता है frog में, वो कहाँ होता है water में होता है. Whole mass of zygote in a jelly is called spawn. Observe the different stages of frog starting from the egg to the adult stage. We find these three distinct stages. देखो 3 stages होती है. पहले तो egg होता है जिसे हम zygote कहते हैं, then it's turned into larvae, tadpole and then egg. ये 3 स्टेज होती हैं. The tadpole stage in a frog is intermediate stage from the aquatic to land habitat. जो tadpole होती है वो intermediate stage होती है from the aquatic to land habitat. Tadpole has gills for breathing underwater and fine tails to swim in water. Adult frog has lungs for breathing in air. और जो adult frog होते हैं उनके पास होते हैं lungs होते हैं जिससे वो breathe करते हैं. Young ones to adult metamorphosis. From the life cycle of the silkworm, moth, butterfly, mosquito and frog, we have learned that young ones come out of the egg. Can you imagine that these tadpoles would someday become frog? देखिए क्या होता है, egg से निकलते हैं और जो tadpole होते हैं कुछ टाइम बाद क्या बन जाते हैं, frog बन जाते हैं. Similarly, the caterpillar or pupa of silkworm looks very different from the adult moth. The features that are present in the adult are not found in the young. That's why that happen to the tadpole और caterpillar thereafter. ठीक है. तो उनके जो फीचर्स होते हैं वो सेम नहीं होते. जो यंग में होते हैं नहीं कि वो अडल्ट में होते हैं, उनके फीचर्स क्या होते हैं बिल्कुल अलग अलग होते हैं. You must have been seen a beautiful moth emerging out of the cocoon. In this case of tadpole, they transform into adult capable of jumping and swimming. The through drastic changes is called metamorphosis. जो इनके बीच में जो drastic changes होते हैं उसे हम कहते हैं metamorphosis. Reproduction in birds. Birds reproduce by laying eggs. They lay eggs in the nest and sit on them to keep them warm. Some of the young bird may develop and grow inside the egg. After some days, the eggs hatch and the baby comes out. ठीक है. वो क्या करते हैं, एग देती है, फिर उसको हैच करती है, वार्म करती है, फिर कुछ टाइम बाद क्या होता है जो बेबी होता है वो बाहर आ जाता है. Development of fertilized egg in hen. Hen is a oviparous animal. It lays egg. The egg are fertilized internally before laying. In case of cook are not around, the eggs laid by a hen are not fertilized. In birds, all the development stages are completed with the egg, and young ones coming out of the egg has all the body parts through immature. ठीक है. वो क्या करती है, जो डेवलपमेंटल स्टेज होती है वो कहाँ कंप्लीट होती है, विद इन द एग, और जो यंग वंस है फिर वो क्या होता है बाहर आते हैं. Sexual reproduction in flowering plants. In flowering plants, the flower is reproductive organ. Flower of most of the plants are hermaphrodites. They have stem and pistil. Stem and flower are male sex organ. Pistil or pollen is a female. जो stamen है वो male reproductive part होता है flower का, और जो pistil pollen होता है वो क्या होता है, female part होता है. Each stamen bears fine dirty pollens or micropores in anther. Pollens are transferred to stigma of the carpel by the process of pollination. जो pollen है वो transferred किया जाता है to stigma of the carpel. किस process से, by the process of pollination. Carpel bears one or many ovules. Each ovules bear an egg cell or the female gamete. Pollen on reaching the stigma germinates, produces a pollen tube and 2 male gametes. The pollen tube grow towards the ovule to enter. One of the 2 male gametes of the pollen tube enter the ovule to unite with the female gamete. ठीक है. जो मेल गैमेट होता है वो एंटर करता है pollen tube के ovule को to unite with the female gamete, जिसे हम कहते हैं egg cell. The union of the male gamete with the egg cells, female gamete is called fertilization. ठीक है. जो फ्यूजन होता है इसे हम क्या कहते हैं, fertilization कहते हैं. The product of fusion of male and female gamete is called oospore and zygote. The zygote develops into an embryo, baby plant, which remain within the seed. On germination, the baby plant from the seed grows out to form an adult plant. जो baby plant है वो grow करता है from the seeds में, और किस में grow जाता है, into an adult plant. Thus ensuring that the species continue to exist on the earth. In other words, the introduction of new member by reproduction ensures the continuity of the species in maintain. ठीक है. अगर reproduction नहीं होगी तो जो उनकी स्पीशीज है उनका एग्जिस्टेंस खत्म हो जाएगा, ठीक है, क्योंकि उनकी जो स्पीशीज का एग्जिस्टेंस है वो बना रहा है, इसलिए वो क्या करते हैं, रिप्रोड्यूस करते हैं, न्यू स्पीशीज और न्यू मेंबर्स को ऐड करते हैं. In the process of sexual reproduction, sex cells are formed which generally came from two parents, one male and another female. Male and female gametes unite on fertilization forming zygote. Zygote develops into embryo. जो zygote है वो किसमें develop होता है? Embryo में, and then it into an adult. Asexual reproduction, we have learned about reproduction in some familiar animals, but what about very small animal, hydra and anemia? Do you know how they reproduce? Now, in asexual reproduction, we will study the reproduction of hydra amoeba. In hydra, there are maybe one or more bulges. These bulges are developing new individuals and they are called buds. In hydra, the new individual develop and outgrowths from the single cell. ठीक है, उनका क्या होती है, उनके ना ऊपर आउटग्रोथ हो जाती है, ठीक है, आउटग्रोथ हो जाती है, तो उसकी वजह से क्या होता है, वो न्यू इंडिविजुअल डेवलप करते हैं. This type of reproduction in which only a single parent is involved is called asexual reproduction. Since new individual develop from the word is hydra, this type of reproduction is called asexual reproduction or some budding भी कहते हैं. Asexual reproduction में only single parent is involved. We have already learned about the structure of amoeba. We will read that amoeba is a single-celled organism. It begins the process of production by the division of its nucleus into two nuclei. This is followed by division of body into two parts, each part receiving a nucleus. Finally, two amoeba are produced from one parent amoeba. दो amoeba produce होते हैं from the one parent amoeba. देखा ना, दो parts में divide हो जाते हैं. This type of asexual reproduction in which animal reproduce by dividing into two individuals is called binary fission. इस process को कहते हैं binary fission कहते हैं. Now, reproduction in human being. Human reproduction is internal and involves two sexes, male and female. Each sex has different reproductive system. Let's find out the productive part in human and study the process of reproduction in them. ठीक है, दो सेक्स होते हैं, तो फीमेल और मेल. Male reproductive organ. The male reproductive organ include pair of testes, singular testes, two sperm ducts and a pans. They are looked outside the abdominal cavity in a sac called scrotal. The testes produce the male gamete called sperm in the huge mammal. So sperm, very small in size, each has a head, a middle piece and a tail. Indeed, each sperm in a single cell with the usual cell compound. ठीक है, ये single cell से usual cells के साथ compound करते हैं, इनका अपना है. ठीक है, जो testes produce करी जाते हैं from the male gametes, हम क्या कहते हैं, sperm कहते हैं. Female reproductive organ. The female organ are a pair of ovaries, oviduct and a uterus. Ovaries are oval-shaped structures situated between the kidney. They produce female gamete called ova. Each month, one ovary releases an egg into an oviduct. The hormones secreted by the ovaries are estrogen and progesterone. Uterus is a part where development of the baby takes place. और जो uterus होता है वो part होता है जहाँ पे development of the baby takes place. Fertilization. The responsibility of the female for successful reproduction is considerably greater than the male. Female have to manufacture egg and receive sperm, create an environment suitable for fertilization and implantation. She has to nourish the developing baby not only before birth, for months after. Formation of zygote takes place, the result of fertilization. The first step in the process of reproduction is fusion of sperm and ovum. ये पहला step होता है वो क्या होता है, fusion of sperm and ovum. This happens when millions of sperm is transferred to the genital tract of female through penis. One of the sperm makes fuse with an egg. Millions of sperm pass किए जाते हैं और कोई एक sperm क्या करता है, fuse करता है. Such fusion of egg and the sperm is called fertilization. During fertilization, nuclei of sperm and the egg fuse to form a single nucleus. This results in the formation of fertilized egg or zygote. The fertilized egg or zygote then travels down the oviduct and gets attached to the wall of uterus. ठीक है, वो ओविडक्ट में जाके ट्रैवल करता है, फर्टिलाइज करता है और फिर वो कहाँ जाता है, अटैच जाता है बाय द वॉल ऑफ यूट्रस. द यूट्रस इज अ मस्कुलर ऑर्गन. द zygote divides over and over again, forming more and more cells. This mass of cell is called embryo. The embryo remains in the uterus and grows and develops into baby. ठीक है, वो यूट्रस में रहता है और फिर वो बेबी में जाकर डेवलप हो जाता है. If the ovum is not fertilized by the sperm, it's expelled from the uterus along with some uterine vessels, blood vessels. It's known as menstruation. उसे क्या कहते हैं, menstruation कहते हैं. Do you think fertilization take place in the same manner in all organisms? Look at your brother, sister, and see if you recognize their characteristics is similar to those of mother and father. Fertilization does not happen in same manner in all organisms. दो तरीके की होती है, internal और external. Internal fertilization, when fertilization occurs inside the body of the female organism, is called internal fertilization. In other words, internal fertilization takes place when the fusion of male and female gamete takes place inside the body of female organism. Bird, snake, lizard, human, cow, dogs, and hen. In human beings, zygote grows and develops into a baby inside the mother body. After the baby is fully developed within the mother body, she gives birth to the baby. क्या होता है zygote पहले मदर की बॉडी के अंदर डेवलप होता है, जब वो फुल्ली डेवलप हो जाता है, देन अ मदर गिव्स बर्थ टू द बेबी. Like human beings, other animals also give birth to their young ones, but the process in some what different is most of them. Egg-laying animals such as birds sit on the fertilized egg for a long time to provide warmth to the egg. The zygote within each egg grows and develops into a young bird during the period of warmth. So the young bird may develop and grow inside the egg. So young bird क्या करती है, develop करती है inside the egg. After some days, the egg hatch and the baby come out. The number of eggs produced at the time is different from different mammal. The number of eggs produced करे जाते हैं, वो क्या होता है, different होते हैं in different mammal. External fertilization, fertilization that occur outside the body of the female organism is called external fertilization. जो body से बाहर होती है, उसे हम क्या कहते हैं, external fertilization कहते हैं. In other words, fusion of gametes take place outside the body. A good example of this would be frog and fish. जो frog और fish है उसमें कैसा fertilization होता है, external fertilization. During spring or rainy season, frogs move to ponds and slow flowing streams. When the male and female come together in water, the female lay hundreds of eggs. The layer of jelly holds the egg together and provides protection to the eggs. As the eggs are laid, the male deposits sperms over them, and each sperm swims randomly in the water with the help of long tail. कि वो जाते हैं एक वाटर में पॉन्ड में, वहाँ पे क्या होता है, वो स्पर्म जो होता है वो रेंडमली मूव करता है और क्या होता है, फ्यूज करता है. दिस रिजल्ट इन फर्टिलाइजेशन. उससे क्या होता है, फर्टिलाइजेशन होता है. डेवलप इनटू अ न्यू इंडिविजुअल. दिस इज बिकॉज द एग्स एंड द स्पर्म्स गेट एक्सपोज्ड टू वाटर मूवमेंट, विंड एंड रेन. Also, there are animals in the pond which may feed on eggs. Thus, reproduction of large number of eggs and sperm is necessary to ensure fertilization for at least few of them. ठीक है, और भी एनिमल्स होते हैं, ठीक है, वो मूव करते हैं और सब क्या होता है, तब जो प्रोडक्शन होता है लार्ज नंबर ऑफ एग्स का और स्पर्म का, वो नेसेसरी है टू इंश्योर द फर्टिलाइजेशन. डेवलपमेंट ऑफ एम्ब्रियो. फॉर्मेशन ऑफ zygote टेक प्लेस एज रिजल्ट ऑफ फर्टिलाइजेशन. इन ह्यूमन, फर्टिलाइजेशन टेक प्लेस इन द फैलोपियन ट्यूब. ह्यूमन में जो फर्टिलाइजेशन होता है वो कहाँ होता है, फैलोपियन ट्यूब में होता है. The zygote divide a number of times and forms a hollow ball made of hundreds of cells. The cell has begin to form groups that develops into different tissue and organ of the body. This developing structure is termed as embryo. The embryo moves down to the uterus, which has soft and thick line. जो embryo है, ठीक है, वो move करता है down towards uterus. यहाँ पे क्या है आपकी thin और soft lining. The embryo continues to develop in the uterus. It gradually develops body parts such as hand, legs, eggs, eyes. At this stage, embryo is known as fetus. When the development of the fetus is complete, the mother gives birth to the birth. जो development होती है, eyes, nose, ear वगैरह develop होते हैं, तो हम fetus कहते हैं. फिर जब वो completely develop हो जाता है, तो मदर क्या करती है, birth देती है. The period from fertilization up to the birth is called gestation or pregnancy period. ठीक है, जो टाइम पीरियड होता है बीच का, हम क्या कहते हैं, gestation period or pregnancy. Internal fertilization takes place in hens also, but do hens give birth to babies like human beings and cow? No, do not. They have are chicken bones. After hard shell is formed around the developing embryo, then the hen lays egg. The embryo take about 9 weeks to develop a chick. You must see the hen sitting on the egg to provide sufficient warmth. The development of chick takes place inside the egg shell during this period. After the chick is completely developed, it bursts. ठीक है, वो burst करती है and open the egg shell. जो egg का shell तो उसको open कर देती है. In animals which undergo external fertilization, development of embryo takes place outside the female body. The embryo continues to grow within their egg covering. After the embryo develops, the egg hatch. You must have seen numerous tadpoles swimming इन पॉन्ड्स एंड स्ट्रीम। आप देखते हैं ना बहुत सारे टैडपोल्स आपको स्विम करते देखेंगे पॉन्ड्स में, स्ट्रीम्स में, रिवर्स वगैरह। ठीक है, ये स्टोरी है ऑफ द डॉली। ये एक शीप है, ठीक है, उसकी स्टोरी आपको कैसे क्लोन करा जाता है, कैसे उसकी बॉडी से फर निकाला जाता है, उसको यूज करा जाता है। ठीक है, होप यू अंडरस्टूड द चैप्टर। दैट्स ऑल फॉर टुडे, थैंक यू।